Everyone who's seen him in person so far has been super impressed by Miami Hurricanes' early enrollee quarterback Emory Williams. So I thought, why not get an actual quarterback on to break it down?
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, your host. I'm a University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. And thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen today. We are available free wherever you get your podcasts and free on YouTube. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/Locked On to get started. So the practices I've been to, super encouraged by what I'm seeing from Emory Williams. Now, hopefully we won't actually see Emory have significant game time for a year or two, but in practice, his legs look big, he looks very accurate, and he looks very engaged. But I wanted to bring on former Miami Hurricanes quarterback who was out at practice on Saturday, the opening spring practice, and Malik Rosier, who joins us. I hope I'm not speaking for you on this one. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like based on what you were tweeting after Saturday, you were also impressed with Emory Williams, the early enrollee freshman. Is that right?
Yeah, I was super impressed with him. For the people that have been following me, I run QB Country Florida. The head guy, David Morris, runs QB Country Mobile. That was actually my original trainer. David has put in let's say 2 first-round draft picks in the last 2 years. And next year, I don't think he'll have one this year, but next year he'll have another one. So when it comes to, fundamentals, IQ, finding someone that loves a football game, you're not going to find someone further than Emory just because I know, what David Morris has instilled in him. And you see it coming out. You see his fundamentals, you see his accuracy. And when you talk to the guy, you get to, get a feeling that, the guy loves football. The guy just wants to, contribute any way that he can. So, I just love, the mentality and obviously, his physical abilities come to life as, he's a really good quarterback.
Yeah, you tweeted something, Malik, and Malik Rosier is with us, that, when you first got down to Miami, when you arrived on the team, that, your first couple months in South Florida, you were probably pretty interested in, going out, hanging out, drinking and all that. Whereas Emory Williams, I don't even know if this guy has been out to South Beach yet. I think he's completely focused on just the football stuff.
Yeah, no, he definitely is. And for the fans, I'll just kind of give you guys, a backstory. So, Emory reached out to me a couple weeks ago, sent me their spring schedule, and then asked me saying, hey, this is, my spring break. During my spring break, I'll be in Miami. Can you come down and train me?
Wow.
To me, that's so many levels beyond. Because I remember when I was 18, like I was gonna want to be on South Beach. I was gonna want hit all the bars with everyone else. And this kid just wants get better. He wants to train. He wants take the week when everyone's kind of taking it easy and say, hey, how can I get better? How can I gain ground on my competition? And so that to me speaks volumes because you have someone that understands why he's at Miami. Yes, like the city's fun. There's a lot of fun things that you can do, but for me, I feel like Emory understands that I have to earn the right, to go out there and have fun, and that, I can't just have fun and expect, my performance to, be where it was. So I'm super excited about him, and I would say that at least from a maturity standpoint, we have someone that obviously, like you said, I don't want him to play, but when it comes to someone, that's going to be locked in, that's going to care, that's not going to do, immature things off the field. I think we have a guy that, like, that's something that we'll never have to worry about.
Your impressions of him on the field, I've watched him as much as I can. The media gets limited viewing periods, so we watch individual drills. He can spin it, and he looks very accurate when they throw at those net targets. Emory always looks very accurate. I talked about this on the show, Malik, on Saturday, right after I went out to that first practice, that when I first walked out to the field, Emory, wearing the number 17, was one of the first players I saw, and I hadn't looked down at my roster yet, and I'm like, oh, who's that tight end wearing 17? Like, he's very, very big. I mean, he's not quite as tall as Jacurri, but he's got those tree trunk legs, and he's built a little bit different. So what are your impressions of his actual quarterbacking abilities so far?
Yeah, super accurate. I think that he's going to take the weight room very seriously, which I'm excited for because, with Emory, to me, I think he has a lot more power, especially with the good, nutrition program and a good weight staff, that he can add, another 10, 15 pounds of muscle with his size and, possibly gain another, 10, 15 yards of distance. So I think Emory has a lot of upsides. And it's funny because, you're seeing him now, but, even for me, I still see, if you look at his face when he takes his helmet off, you can still see some of the baby fat. You can still tell that this kid's like 17, 18 years old. He has, a couple years to go before he's physically all the way built out. So super excited about, the physique that he has because, playing in the SEC, and obviously, Martin does a great job of, revamping the offensive line, but, you got to take hits. There's going to be times, where your body's vulnerable, whether you're in a throwing motion, whether, you hit the back, and, the fact that he's already solidly built really helps him, if he ever does have to translate early, whether this year, whether it's next year, he at least has the body size, to withstand 10, 15 hits. And that's something that's really good, especially for a freshman.
Oh, I like to hear that a lot. And when we come back with Malik Rosier, I want to get his take on Jacurri Brown because Jacurri, for reasons I don't fully understand, has become a little bit polarizing among the fan base. I see him out there making tremendous progress. We'll talk about Tyler, and I also want Malik Rosier's impressions on the new coaches at Miami because he had some time and access to spend with these guys that most of us did not get over the weekend. So you want to keep it locked right here to Locked On Canes. Guys, now is the time to be involved with FanDuel. We're past the midway point of the NBA season. We're getting closer to the playoffs, college basketball, conference tournaments. The big dance is coming up. This is the perfect time to download FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. You have nothing to lose with your first bet. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. And then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores to threes drained. So our Hurricanes take on Duke in the ACC tournament semifinals tonight. Duke are 2.5-point favorites. The disrespect continues. I think Miami's going to win and cover. So you want to look at that. Duke -2.5 tonight, Miami +2.5. FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So do not miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Here on Locked On Canes, Alex Donno alongside Malik Rosier, former Miami Hurricanes quarterback. So Malik, in the practices I've seen so far, we're 3 in. I'm liking the progress that I'm seeing from Jacurri Brown just as a passer. Now, it's obviously, pads just came on yesterday. I don't get to watch 11-on-11 work, so there's only so much I can see. But he looks more accurate and comfortable hitting targets. We already know Jacurri is a tremendous athlete and an absolute weapon when he runs the football. And a lot of fans out there, Malik, just don't believe this guy's going to ever put it together. Like, they don't believe he's ever going to be a real quarterback. I believe he can polish up the passing aspect of his game. How do you feel about Jacurri Brown's progress?
I really, really like Jacurri. I would say out of every quarterback in that room, he by far has the highest ceiling when it comes to physical abilities, from size, speed, throwing distance, being able to make people miss. Like, Jacurri might be the most athletic guy on our team, period. The biggest thing, and that's one thing I've always told him, is that, don't allow your athletic ability to be the only thing that you rely on. Make that be plan C. Plan A is, your arm. Plan B is your mental side of your game, like how you move guys, the way that you conduct your offense. And then your last thing is what you're best at is, being athletic, extending plays, making runs, making guys miss. I think he can do it. I think that whether it's, someone on staff that, knows a lot about fundamentals, or whether it's, him finding a private coach in South Florida that, can train him more consistently. To me, he needs someone that can really take the time to teach him, because it's not he doesn't want to learn. It's not that he's not coachable. The guy loves football. He loves to learn. If you can teach him something that's going to help him, he's going to eat it up. I just think about him, finding the time in his schedule, which is very hard, to dedicate time, to take that extra 30, 40, an hour to find himself a coach, or, find someone that can really, really help him with fundamentals and, how to throw properly. And it's not really how to throw properly, because he does, but there's a couple things that I would say he does wrong that are very, very simple, that if he can fix, will night and day change his, throwing accuracy. Some of the tips, I'll be honest with you guys, when I was out there on Saturday, I texted him 2 or 3 things I thought he can work on. Something very simple that, won't really affect him during the spring. But, for him this summer, he really has, dialed in on fundamentals, because, when people play him, they're not going to let him beat him with his legs. Obviously we saw that's what Clemson did. They really forced him to throw, and they took away his legs. And so that to me was like, that's your biggest learning curve, is that a good team is going to take away your strongest suit, which is running. So now you got to make passing the best thing that you do. It's something that Lamar Jackson had to overcome. You know what I mean? Yeah. His thing for dynamic, but when you play a really good team, can you sit there and go, 25 for 30 for 280 yards and maybe 60, 70 yards rushing? Because there's teams that's going to try to hold you to that. And that's my biggest thing to him, is that don't rely on your legs. Let that be plan C, because we know that's there. Let's work on the other stuff that, that makes you a complete quarterback. But, I think with the offense that, Coach Dawson has, getting the ball out quick, being super accurate, I definitely think it fits him. If you go back and watch a lot of the older quarterbacks that Coach Dawson had, he integrated them into a lot of the run game. So I think that this offense can fit him very, very well. My biggest thing to him is, when you play, if we ever do play like Alabama or Georgia, when we play Clemson or Texas A&M, they're going to have linebackers and defensive ends that run just as fast as you. We saw Nolan Smith run a 4.39. So if you think that there's not ends and linebackers that are going to catch you, you're severely wrong. And that's my biggest thing to him, is yes, there'll be certain teams that you're just going to be that much more athletic than, but there's also going to be certain teams that have a whole bunch of U's on that defense that can run, that are big, that are strong, that are fast. And so, teaching him that, sometimes you just got to stay in the pocket and beat people just as a pocket passer. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't run people from the pocket, that should be a great day for you, because we know what you can do with your legs. So I think that, the ceiling is the highest for him, but it's really going to be about him, being able to say, hey, like, I got to be able to beat people as a pocket passer, and then allow my legs, extend plays, be creative with my legs and things like that.
Now, for this season, it's pretty safe to assume, as long as Tyler Van Dyke is healthy, he's going to be the starting quarterback. But would you like to see there be some Jacurri packages? Because last year, Malik, there were situations, usually short yardage, third down, where they would bring Jacurri Brown on the field, even though he wasn't the starting quarterback. Would you like to see something like that again this year?
Yeah, I would say that, to me, I think there definitely are situations to where you do that. But also, at the end of the day, I think that, if you have a good enough offense and you believe in your quarterback, there really shouldn't be a point to pull him.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, if you're playing a team that, I don't know, like Texas A&M, and it's a 4th and 1, and you're trying to power it in there with Jacurri, like, I don't think there's an issue. But I definitely think in the red zone, that's an area that, you don't want to take your starter out, because the more reps you get in the red zone, the better. Red zone, all the windows tighten, the throws get faster, different things like that. And I think that's something that, Tyler definitely needs to work on. So the more reps that he gets in the red zone, to me, are going to be crucial. You gotta find a guy that not only can get you to the red zone, but a guy that can score in the red zone. Especially if Tyler wants to be, a first rounder or go to the NFL. It can't be, he gets down to the red zone and then, they bring Jacurri in to come in and score. To me, I think that's just a very bad dynamic for a starting quarterback that wants to, go to the next level or completely control this team. And obviously, I don't think there's anything wrong with getting Jacurri in the game. I just think that you have a good enough quarterback with Tyler that, unless Tyler is severely struggling, or unless our run game is just severely struggling, which I don't see, that's the only way, like, I would see them having to put Jacurri in, where it's like, hey, man, our run game is struggling. We need that extra basically blocker with the running back, so that now we can, have basically 10 on 10. So that to me would be the only reason. But, I definitely hope he gets reps. I think there will be some situations on like 4th and 1 and maybe even like, 4th and inches in like the red zone, where they bring him in because he is more physical. He has more speed. But I hope it's just not like a consistent thing where like every game he's coming in, because then that kind of shows you that, like, at least from a finishing standpoint, either they don't trust the running back and offensive line, that they have to take, Tyler out to have an extra runner, or they don't trust Tyler to finish. So now they have to bring Jacurri in to kind of finish the drive off. So that to me would be like a small mental game that I think, for like a lot of people don't think about, that at least as a quarterback, it's like, well, why do I consistently, get pulled in like crunch situation, whether it is 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, or whether it's, red zone. To me, those are the situations as a quarterback that you really want to be in, because, those are situations where if you don't get it, The other team either has the ball or you don't score points. And those to me are the two most crucial aspects of the game. And so, I hope that he gets some playing time, but I also think that, if you have a good enough quarterback and you believe in Tyler, there should be very minimal situations to where you pull him out.
That makes a lot of sense. And a little bit more on Tyler. For me, the big thing I was looking for when I went out there Saturday was, is he fully healthy coming off the shoulder last year? He looks completely healthy. We got a chance to speak to him Saturday after practice. He says he's completely healthy, which is awesome because I can't wait to see what kind of a bounce back year Tyler can have, right? Because, there are a lot of factors last year, including the offensive line struggling and, the new offense, which I just didn't think suit him. Do you think that this Shannon Dawson offense suits him? And when you saw Tyler out there on Saturday, how did he look to you?
I 100% think this offense fits him. I'll say that this offense is very similar to Lashley's, but very different. So the difference was Lashley's key concepts were a lot of vertical game. And yes, Coach Dawson will throw vertical, but like pure air raid, they're about creating space, getting guys, catches in open field. You're probably going to see a lot of slants. You're probably going to see a lot of swing passes. You're probably going to see a lot of short to intermediate balls, which would be, somewhat different than what he did with Lashley. But the difference is it's going to be high completions. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to see a lot of guys touch the ball. It's something that, you saw last or 2 years ago with Tyler and Lashley was that not only do they stretch the field vertically, but you saw like 6-7 guys, having catches. So you'll see something similar, but I don't know if it'll be as deep of a vertical threat. Obviously when you have guys like Rambo and Mike Harley, it helps. Obviously this year we have, Kobe Young, we have Xavier Restrepo. So I'm very interested to see, how he utilizes them. But when you guys go back and watch him at West Virginia with Tavon Austin, it was a ton of drags. It was a ton of meshes. It was like crossing. You know what I mean? It was short, intermediate passes to get these guys, in space with the ball in their hands where it wasn't a hard throw on the quarterback where, it's my athletes versus yours. And so I really like that. I think Tyler I think he really fits that system. The biggest thing isn't in these type of offenses really isn't arm strength, which is what, we saw a lot of with Lashley was, deep balls, deep posts, deep goes, a lot of stretching the field vertically. This offense is going to be more about, what is it? It's not ball security, really ball accuracy. So ball placement. That's what it is.
Ball placement.
Yeah. Ball placement. So is it on his upfield shoulder? Is it on his backfield shoulder? It's going to be a lot of, tight turnings on like hitches, stops, slants. And for me, I think if you're a really good quarterback, you really like that because as long as I can be accurate, I can be very successful in this offense. I don't have to, throw consistently 50, 60-yard posts. If I can hit slants, stops, short ends, little seam routes behind the linebacker's head, you'll be very successful in this offense. So I'm super excited for him. I think it's the offense that he wants. And I think he has a really, really good OC. I was able to meet him a little bit and the guy seems super humble. He seems super honest. And, when you're a quarterback that, really didn't trust your offense last year, having someone that you feel like doesn't have an ego and is just someone that wants to help you, I think that's really going to help Tyler mentally be able to trust, Coach Dawson, the play calling and everything like that.
Well, I want to pick Malik's brain a little bit more when we come back about the coaches. He had a chance to meet them out there on Saturday. We're joined by former Miami Hurricanes starting quarterback Malik Rosier. Keep it locked right here to Locked On Canes. Guys, I hope if you're looking for a delicious treat that you're checking out these Built Bars. They're so good. You don't want all the fat and calories. You got to try a Built Bar. Got through the holidays this year. We've all been trying to eat a little healthier. If you're like me, you want to eat healthier, but you don't want to compromise taste. You've got to try a Built Bar. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so tasty, you're not going to think that they're good for you, but they are perfect for that New Year's resolution. What makes Built Bars so good? Well, for starters, they're all covered in 100% real chocolate. They come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter, brownie batter. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. Only 130 calories, just 4 grams of sugar, a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't need to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars at Built.com, which you can still do with our promo code LOCKEDON15 for 15% off. But now you can also get them at your local Walmart and Sam's Club. That's right. If you're close to a Walmart or Sam's Club, run in, grab a 13-bar box with hit flavors like brownie batter and churro, and you can thank me later because I love me some Built Bars. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen today. Make sure for your second listen, you check out Locked On College Basketball with Andy Patton and Isaac Shade. They take you through the college basketball landscape in 30 minutes or less, and so much going on. You know, we've been following the ACC tournament. Hurricanes are going to take on Duke tonight. Hurricanes lost a close one to Duke in the first matchup this year. They pounded them. Complete performance in the second matchup. So Duke is going to try to get revenge. Blue Devils are 2.5-point favorites. Let's hope the Canes can get it done. Malik Rosier is with us, former Miami Hurricanes starting quarterback. So Malik, you know, you talked a little bit about Shannon Dawson, how humble he is, which is great to hear. You also got to spend some time with Kevin Beard and a few others. What were your impressions on these new coaches, these new hires that Cristobal made?
Yeah, so with Coach Dawson, someone that is super humble. You know, it was something that I talked to some of my friends about was that, you know, I think that with it, it's very, very bad to say. I don't want to say bad to say, but it's very realistic. A lot of coaches, when they come from big universities, they really don't care because they understand that if I lose this job, I'm going to get hired somewhere else. You know, you saw what's his name?
Gaddis,
fired. How he's the OC quarterbacks coach at Maryland. Like, yeah, they have some struggles, but they understand that, like, I've been in D1 for a while. I got a lot of connections. I'll be fine. With Dawson, you know, he's coming from a smaller school coming up. So he's someone that's like, hey, like, if I fail here, I got to go back. Not that I'm staying at the same level. So I think you have someone that's hungry, obviously smart as hell. You know, he's humble, but I think he has someone that's super hungry, that's super eager to, you know, make his stamp, make his first, you know, big D1 stamp. And so I think he's going to do it. And, you know, like I said, man, when you have a coach that's real, the guys really, really rally behind that. And it's one reason why, you know, I like KB as well. He's super real. He understands, you know, what it takes to be a great receiver. He understands what it takes to be a Miami Hurricane. And he's going to make these guys work. You know, after Saturday's practice, you know, guys like, oh, I got treatment. Oh, I got this and that. And KB was like, well, can we push it back 15 minutes? Can we get 15 minutes more of work? You know what I mean? Can you guys be, you know, I know you don't want to be the last one in the training room, but if you're a little later because you were training and you're the last one out, that's fine to do. And so that's what KB is really going to help them with, you know, understanding the small details and, you know, to work hard, at least from the receiver room, that, you know, everyone has a 2-hour practice. You know, our practice needs to be in 2.5 hours and, you know, get that extra 15, 20, 30 minutes of extra reps.
Oh, I love that. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for taking the time, Malik. I want everyone, you follow Malik on Twitter at Malik Rosier 12. Make sure you check out everything he's doing with the Miami Millionaires Club, Miami Mills Club. Anything new with the Mills Club you want people to know about, Malik?
Yes. So we actually got a unofficial partnership with the university. So
Awesome.
and April 4th, we're going to go in and teach all student athletes 2 different topics, at least for now. So the first topic will be public relations, which, you know, the students athletes pick themselves. The next topic will be real estate. Obviously, you guys know these kids have NIL money. So my biggest thing is don't let it sit in your bank account. Find something to invest in, whether it's a mutual fund, stocks, crypto, whatever you kind of see. But, you know, find something that's going to set you up. So while you're working on the field, your money's working for you as well. So super excited about the opportunity that we have coming up soon.
That's really awesome. And yeah, Malik is doing great stuff, helping these student athletes kind of get ready for life after football, which is great. Malik, thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend coming up, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, you too.
Awesome job by Malik Rosier. Guys, we'll talk to you again on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.